How's everyone doing today? I go by Fiadh. I'm an energy and spirit worker and healing arts practitioner. And today what I wanted to offer was a distance spirit medicine session, channeling healing energy of the spirit world with special attention to working with the energy of Temperance, this archetype of balancing extremes, of being able to find the middle path. So thinking of anywhere where you might be maybe engaging in giving too much of your energy and then neglecting other parts of your life, or giving 100% of yourself all the time and then burning yourself out. This shows up in many different ways. What we're working with is Temperance archetype. As you can see, she has one foot in the water, one foot on the earth, and she's pouring from two cups, one into the other. One cup isn't being poured out fully. The water is flowing in different directions. Have the iris connecting heaven and earth, the symbol of rainbows. This is all about creating our own kind of inner alchemy of our own sense of balance, our own sense of moderation, to help ease down a little bit. I don't know how else to describe that. Hopefully you get the point. This is working energetically, so it is for your and my greatest and highest good. Any spirits that are coming through are just benevolent, loving guides. And this will show up for everyone in different ways at different points in their life. So that being said, please take a moment to get yourself settled. Grab some water if you need to. However you need to get comfortable. Pardon if you hear any background noise. My cats are kind of snoring around me, and I have my fan on because it's kind of hot. And it's a bit rickety. There's a little clanging sound. Hopefully it just fades into the background. feeling a sense of pressure, of perfectionism, that kind of nitpick, that Virgo energy, the nitpicking of details. Just feeling into the throat. I started feeling congested the second I started channeling energy. I haven't had allergies all day, and now suddenly. Kind of clearing out and moving. You know, that heavy dampness. I'm feeling this fiery energy. Moving through almost like any bits and pieces, bits and bobs of yourself that have been getting neglected, maybe. I know for myself, I'm speaking just for myself, but I'm sure other people do this as well. I get so heavily focused on one aspect of my life that I become almost like avoidant of everything else because I'm just putting forth all of my energy into one thing and learning. It's still a learning process of being able to take a step back, being able to know when to, yes, sometimes put your foot on the gas pedal, but also sometimes when to take it step by step, a little bit slower, and ease back the energy that you're investing so that you have energy for yourself, for the other parts of your life, you know. It's almost like when you get into a new relationship and you start spending like 24/7 with that person, and start entwining your lives, and everything else starts falling by the wayside. That's the feeling I'm getting. Just bringing back a little bit of fire, a little bit of light back into the areas that are neglected. And I don't think that this is often like a conscious thing people do. It's just really difficult to balance sometimes. And also, balance isn't 50-50, where it's not an exact quarter, or it shows up different ways on different days and different times. And for different people in different ways. Just taking a moment, if you want, to reconnect to the imagery. How is it making you feel? What is arising in your own body, in your mind? Calling in the archetype, how this wants to show up for you. I've realized for myself, I often need to take a lot of downtime when I'm doing anything creatively, when I'm creating healing content, even when I'm working with like the plant spirits. It involves a lot of downtime for me to do that effectively. If I am trying to output too much, it often drains me. It often leads me like out of ideas, putting too much pressure on it, feeling like I'm like grasping and searching. So, and I say as someone who is anxious and always wants to do more to make myself feel safe, because that's how I cope. And because I'm a little Virgo, so I tend to want to be a busy little mouse and nitpick at everything. But I do need a lot of rest and a lot of more internal recharging, silence, not putting out energy, not meeting with people, not taking on clients, but instead sitting outside in silence and easing back on how much I create and instead doing more internal work. And that's often what feels balanced to me. Is it's a lot more behind the scenes, internal, creating, just letting things be and not really actively doing. Versus I know people who get rushes of energy, and the more they create, the more they want to do. Sorry about that if you heard that. I wanted to make sure it wasn't one of my cats. There's also a street cat that my neighbors and I feed. So he comes and hangs out in my yard a lot. If you heard that howling, moaning noise. But he's getting up there in age. He's probably he's an outdoor cat who's probably at least 13, 14 years old minimum. So I wanted to be sure he wasn't outside in my yard dying. I think we're fine. I didn't see him. He might just be howling at my neighbor's door. She's been feeding him even longer than I have. I just give him extra because he deserves it. He's a good boy. Anyway, before I got distracted by horrific cat groaning, we all have different ways of input and output of energy, of internal, external, of yin, yang, of creating, of doing, of action, of internalizing, dreaming, conceptualizing, stillness. And it shows up in different ways every day. But that's difficult because we live in a culture where it's very focused on extremes. And having to be 100% every single day, of waking up at 5 a.m. every single day and doing like your perfect 20-step routine and everything being scheduled out. And not everyone has the energy to do that every day. And that doesn't feed everyone every day. Also being too much in the passive of not taking action, going outward, doing, can also deplete your energy in its own way and make it hard to create and do and live and operate. Once again, it's all about that balance, that middle path. Structuring out what works for you. feeling into where it feels most calcified in your energy. That's the sensation I'm experiencing. Connecting to the abdomen. To your solar plexus. To digestion. I'm seeing a black cat. I'm seeing the Queen of Wands. Which the Queen of Wands does have a black cat in the traditional Rider-Waite. I'm seeing mermaids. Maybe there's a bit of Neptune energy, a need to let your imagination wander. But softening it. I'm feeling almost like the balance, that split mirroring of, this is the only way I can describe it. It's like imagination and dreams versus maladaptive daydreaming. And almost softening that more intensive, extreme daydreaming into something a bit softer, a bit kinder. More of like a healthy escapism and like a floating around than a bypassing escapism. I don't know how else to describe that. It's not coming through well. I don't think it's making sense, but Going into the mind's eye and just the mind itself, the head, the brain, the skull. I have to sneeze really bad. It's like stuck. There was a surge of energy, and then, which is why I was making that face for a while, and then I just need to sneeze. I think it's passed. Yeah, I'm feeling just like a lot of the fair folk showed up, which I'm okay with. Some people aren't comfortable with that, but I honestly am. I work with them all the time. I do so with protections in place, but also fully acknowledging that I love the energy of chaos and mischief. So if you're into working with the fair folk already, it's only if you want to open yourself up to that energy, to just embrace it, then please go ahead and do so. And if not, I personally am like, when I'm channeling this energy, if they come through, I always have boundaries in place. There's a bit of humor that often goes along with it, a bit of lighthearted. Not always, like, this very much depends. on the mood, on who you're talking to, on what the relationship is. But there can be something very lighthearted about the fairies. Bringing in that spiritual energy, healing energy that isn't quite constrained by the same sense of, I don't know if morality is the correct word, but morality that we live by, that the human world lives by. The dogma, I guess. Ability to see some nuance, different colors and shades of things. And I always appreciate perspectives that get me out of my humanness a bit. Just fluffing your energy now. Also, these messages only for you if you resonate with them. If you're like Fiadh, fairies, that's fine. I'm not here to tell anyone what is or isn't real. I just grew up with them, and I have experience with them. But is it any more or less weird than anything else? Thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm going to head off now that we get to hear the lovely sounds of sawing and construction that just began. I'm sending you all my best wishes. I hope this energy of temperance serves you well, brings in a little bit more balance, maybe helps ease back on any kind of burnout you might be experiencing, or just overextending, feeling too extreme, too intense. And I hope to see you next time. Thank you for hopping on with me here, and have a wonderful rest of your day.